Hello everyone, Maria Banga here. Maria Banga, so many things in one, right? Founder of the association Hope for the Abused and the Battered. And our first focus area is being the hope for victims of domestic violence and gender-based violence. And I was once a victim myself, and I'm a survivor now, and so of course I'm very passionate about raising awareness, sensitizing, advocating. Domestic violence has taken a bigger proportion, especially, I don't know whether it's especially, but with the onset of the pandemic, what happened? A lot of things have been happening where there was a lockdown, and I think people couldn't stand each other. And we've come to realize and accept that domestic violence is not only intimate partner violence. Well, it concerns any violence in the domestic setting. That means that violence on the children, violence on the in-law, or whoever, violence on the house help, violence, anything violent in a domestic setting constitutes domestic violence. And why should there be violence in the first place, or why is there violence in the first place? Not why should there be, because there is already. And we can begin to wonder, like, why can't it stop? What's going on? Is there no other way to to do what, to express ourselves, to handle conflicts, to I really sometimes don't understand why, although I've been in a domestic violence situation. That one was intimate partner most especially, and I can say, well, that one was more of for ego, power control, and all of that. But when people violate children under their care, I'm like, what could those children have done to deserve this, right? I saw something of a couple who abused a child to the point where that child was like a corpse, and threw hot water on this child and was starving the child. Not too long ago, there was even another, this is about awareness, so I'm just talking. Another family, a couple in Yaoundé, their own child is not even like it's some child they picked up from somewhere, because the second case, or the first case I talked about, was a child they had brought in to use as house help. You go and bring a small child of 10, 15, 12 years to use as house help. This is like, where is the conscience? Okay, but this one is the child they gave birth to, and then they starve the child because somebody said the child is a witch, and so, well, they have to starve this child, they have to beat the child. The child's eye was like that, all of that. Oh my goodness. What about the ones who take in children and rape them and sexually abuse these children? That is still domestic violence. And sometimes people even know about it in their homes. I was listening to some program today on YouTube, this whole thing about denouncing fake prophets and pastors and everything. And they were talking about how the one of those people, or whatever the name is, I cannot remember, he took in some children to groom them, to bring them up. 12 years, 15 years, and he had what they call mission house. So people would carry their children and give to this man, or the man would tell his whether is faithful or parishioners or whosoever, to give him their children, so that he can groom their children, raise them up in the ways of the Lord, and all of that, make them choir, they should grow up in the choir. And so no, it's not good for them to stay in the world, let them come to me. And then one of the girls who grew up in that mission house said their dormitories had no locks. So can you imagine young girls? I mean, you are starting to what? Is it puberty? Yes. Maybe you are just starting to menstruate. You cannot even understand what's going on with you, and then you are taken away from your parents. You are kept somewhere, and then the dormitory in which you sleep has no lock. So this man can come into that dormitory at any time and take any of you that he is going to deliver you one-on-one. Whatever is there to deliver in people or in children in the first place, I don't know. take you to go and say and then they will see the child running out, and then they will start saying, oh, it's the devil in her, the devil in her. They don't know that the man has gone and abused this child. Then that is far away. Let's talk about Cameroon. I heard of a case. Somebody took 5 children to help them, the crisis and everything. And he's just been abusing those children. The elders of those children cannot even be more than 15 years old. In my city like this, I don't want to believe that nobody around this man does not know that this man is doing that kind of thing. He's not the only one. Another person just sent me a case of that child can be how old? She was born in 2000, so that makes, my goodness. No, 2020. Okay, 20 years, but she was raped in 2013. That is 7 years ago. And she has just lost her mind now. We have to talk very soon. I was in Boya to see this 18-month-old baby who was abused by her grandfather of 66 years old. The same man who also raped the neighbor's child of 8 years old. Is that not domestic violence? Is that not happening in the domestic setting? We have to put all of these things together and talk about them all the time. It should not only be during a particular day or a particular month. I read a post where I was tagged. I don't know why I was tagged on that post, but whatever. So the person was saying that he doesn't even think that there's anybody in this country doing anything and stuff, and all we do is come online and make noise and and there's no safe place for the children or for the victims of domestic abuse, being man or woman, but mostly the women. And there's no safe space. Very few of them that I know of specialize in taking in these children, because taking in an orphan is different from taking in a child who has been raped. Taking in a woman who doesn't have where to go is different from taking in a woman who has been abused by their partner. So you need to really know what you are doing. Okay, we were counting or thinking that should be a government service, that should be, but we are in the country in which we are, so we are on our own. Yes, okay, now, who will come together and put together resources so that we build or we create a shelter? Who? What can we do? We can only talk online. Well, for a start, we can write to the government, we can do all of those things, but can I do anything alone? No. So we are working together with people, and it doesn't just happen overnight. So in the meantime, we keep raising awareness so that people who also know these kind of things can speak out, can call out these kind of people, can put their heads together. Sometimes I just want people who can just come, we have ideas, we think and stuff, and then we say, okay, this is what we are going to do. But sometimes I reach out to people where everybody, I share God grace and everything, and then that is it. So I have my own head to protect. I'm not going to keep myself, trying to. I'm not Mother Teresa, right? Mother Teresa at least had resources. She had a home. She had all of that. She had people who were, donating. There's just so much to do. Now, awareness means that open your ear, and then hear, so that if you see something, or if you yourself are in dangerous way, you can leave or you can take action. Yesterday this morning I was listening to this show on the Goretti Experience. She was just answering different questions, and a few of them were around abuse, and one person was like, oh, she's been in this marriage, and for 5 years it's been a sexless marriage, but she doesn't want to leave, and she wants people to advise her. I don't want to be giving me advice again on those things, because I'm like, I don't know. I'm a psychotherapist, so if somebody really needs my straight up advice, the person can contact me. But to go on platforms and be giving advices anymore, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm like, is it helping? Is it worth it? Is it? I don't know. So let me come on my own platform, my own talk, and then just stay me quiet. If a case is brought to my attention, I can work on that case. If not, well, that is it. So I'm so happy. I'm going to really connect. We need to, sisters, let's not let this thing that I see people in this country who have organizations fighting with each other, backbiting people and stuff. And I'm like, What are we doing with all of that? The children are suffering, the women are suffering. Let's come together. Oh, my sisters, if some of us can just come together and build a shelter or rent a big shelter. Somebody once had a project like that, and I did the whole thing and stuff, and then, well, it didn't materialize. So I don't know, so that's also something. Sometimes you work and work and work, and then nothing happens. But I'm not giving up, right? I'm here. What is my own profit now if I cannot help other sisters who might be in the same situation I was 10 years ago, for example, right? So, but this sister, she said she didn't want to leave. She didn't want to go, but she was tired and everything. And I'm like, okay, so you know that you are being abused, so you are aware, but you don't want to take action. What can I do? What can we do? We go and remove somebody, tie them, chain them, take them to the shelter, and after that, what? Because a shelter is not supposed to be a permanent place. A shelter is supposed to be a safe place where you stay for some time. During that time, you get to heal and you get to think about what you want to do thereafter, and then you move on. And if it's a child, by the time that the child has been there for like a month, 2, 3 months, the child's own family, or let's say in the case of this family, the mother gave the child to be helped. Definitely that child is not being helped, because even if you send a child to school and you are raping that child, what school is that? What would that child be learning in that school? That child will go to school and then come back to the house and come and remove her pant again. What rubbish is that? So you see, it is something for like remove that child from that environment altogether. Forget about that school first of all. Keep that child there, help that child to heal, and then the family realizes that it is not all about the bling and the blank and the big houses and the school fees. It's about the child's well-being. So you take the child out of that domestic violence environment. So we raise awareness, and then we say, now let's act, let's move, let's do something. I mean, can you imagine how powerful it would be if we say sisters came together and built a shelter? I don't want that thing to be under my name. I'm just here on ground zero, and so I can organize, I can coordinate, I can do all of those things. But man, if there's even another organization that wants to pick that thing up and do it as their project, and I just work with them, I'm good. Because me, like this, I'm so passionate about children and mental health. Domestic violence, especially for women, I'm like, well, it's high time we women start to know what we can do to help ourselves. Like, don't even get into a situation where you're going to be violated. So you can see those signs. Even while you are dating, you can see those signs. You can, and then there's nothing there like, I want to save my marriage. People have died trying to save marriages. And sometimes when you even stay there for years, by the time you leave, the person is so angry that, and maybe even crazy, they think the only way to get at you is to kill you. What are they losing? They don't have them any, they don't have any integrity anymore. So they will kill you, and like the man in Ohio shoots his own self. What's his problem there? He has already given up on life. So killing you for him is the best revenge, and then he takes his own life away. He would have done it anyway. The other man in America, so-called, whether it's pastor or whatsoever, he killed the woman. He knew killing her and not killing his own self, that when they get him, he risks life's imprisonment, or at least several years in prison. Do you think he's not prepared to? If that man wanted to run away, he would not have gone back to his house and sat there now. But he went back there because he knew the police would come and get him. He would have left state, he would have gone anywhere. Even if they would have got him after, he would have still had some time to kind of leave freely before they catch him. But no, he went to his house or their apartment and stayed there. And when police came, he did not resist. So he knew it was premeditated that he said it even, if I don't kill her, then I'm fake. So he killed her. Who has lost? I saw this lady's father cry like a baby during her funeral service. I was like, oh, goodness gracious. You give birth to a child, she goes through all of that at 27. So that lady or young woman got married at 22. 5 years living in whatever. It is not like the violence started 3, 4, 5 years after. It started even when they were dating. But no, oh, God can help. Like somebody was advising this lady, no, stay there, keep trusting in God. He can perform a miracle at the last minute. I'm not one of those people who would tell people those kind of things. There's nothing there like that. He can as well. Look, is God not blessing me? What are people talking about? Sometimes I listen to some things. I don't even waste my time there because I'm like, whichever God you're talking about, well, I have my own, so I don't have no problem with that. Seriously. We yoke people and make them to stay in violent situations, abusive situations. They stay there. How can you be for 5 years with a man you call your husband, no sex? Is that not sexual violence? Must it be having too much? No, it is not having at all also. Does he need to slap you to tell you that you are whatever around here? For me, that is more than beating. Emotional neglect, sexual neglect. What are you talking about? Yes, of course, the man was the breadwinner, so there is provision of money, he's taking care of the children. Of course, they will do all of those things now. But yet you are a slave in that house. Even if you are working, there's no joy anymore. So that work might just be a small coping mechanism for you, but that's terrible. And then you stay there just because you want to keep the vows, marital vows. Oh, have we not known pastors and prophets and Pastor Christ Embassy? This thing is all over the place. So I'm not the one telling you people. Did he not divorce his wife? It's the wife who filed for divorce, right? Why didn't he go and kill the wife? Why did he sign the papers? Why did the divorce take place? Are they not still living? Is he not still all over the place doing whatever? So what are they going to? Is he even the first pastor who has divorced their wife or who is divorced with their wife? It is high time we stop making a, hey, God does not like divorce. Okay, fine. God likes Maria Banga and I'm divorced. Okay, stay there. You must not leave, but you can work on it. And you don't wait for 5 years. Month 1, week 1, address the situation. Because you already see it as something which is unacceptable. Look, I cannot be married and I stay for 1 month without sex. For what? You call yourself my husband, I call myself your wife. Why? Shouldn't it even be something that you shouldn't even be counting? Like, why should you count? I once watched something on Oprah. People were using calendars to show how their sex lives have. One woman said, since how many years? 8 years. You see an X in March, an X in December, an X in April. Oh, goodness gracious. One time for me was enough for me to say, never again would I find myself in a relationship, in a domestic environment where there is violence, where there is neglect, where there is abuse, nada. And I cannot also stand by and see. That's why even beating my own children is just too much for me. That is violence. And when you show them violence, they will grow up and think it's okay to be violent. I used to say, no, don't beat your brother. There's another way to solve that problem. But if you see them fighting and you say, let them sort themselves out, that's how they will grow up and get their own homes, and then the violence will just continue there. And it affects the children so bad. That's what I call adverse childhood experience. So domestic violence is not only what is happening now, it's also the propagation and all the consequences and everything. Well, you see, I've just been so emotional these past 3 days. I'm all over the place. Look I'm still home. It's 1 p.m. Let me go out and try to do a few things and then keep thinking about what I can do to help this situation that is really bothering me. But I just thought like doing a live video to talk about domestic violence. Well, it's the awareness month, right? So let me use the opportunity to just keep talking. As somebody said, it's like people are just talking, but at least that talking is something, and more people are also talking, and more people are being aware, becoming aware, and telling other people who are not necessarily online and stuff. So I don't want to think that all my talking is in vain. No, I think people are hearing and people are contacting me a lot, and people are taking better care of themselves, even though some just don't want to think that I can do something. Like, When Mama Me, I'll do how, I'll do how. Those are the ones that I don't want to continue with. But for children, no, they're still so innocent. They have their future ahead of them. As Mimi says, we must help our daughters. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining. I really always appreciate, and I'm really going to join. Thank you so much. I'm going to let Mimi know the project. I think we should start with thinking of how to get a shelter in place, because sometimes where are we taking those kids to? Where? Okay, have a good Friday, everybody.